Jason here. And if everyone's all right, we can go ahead and kick this meeting off and get going. Um, Welcome everyone to the January 2024 Muncie Land Bank Board of Directors meeting. It's our first meeting of the year. We're going to start off with our introduction to our new graduate assistants from the Ball State Department of Urban Planning. Aram Ahmed, would you like to say something? Introduce yourself.
Yeah. So hi, my name is Aram. I just joined the Land Bank this semester. Um, Came from Arizona, and I have a lot of experience working in political and community organizing. Um, Affordable housing and gentrification is something that a lot of folks on the West Coast, everybody is dealing with, but specifically, affordable housing is something that was a huge thing for me, and it is what caused me to go from looking at the organizing side and wanting to be more on the policy implementation side. It's one of the main reasons why I wanted to switch over from becoming an organizer to actually being able to like implement policy changes and stuff like that, which is why I pursued urban planning in the first place. And paying me to go to school here, so makes it extra convenient as well. And a really good planning department at Ball State. So I'm excited to get joined, and I want to make a contribution, especially to a city that needs a lot of help, especially on um, considering the fact that the land bank is doing a lot of effort to rehabilitate the South Side. So I definitely want to be involved in a project where a lot of those investments are being made. So yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome aboard. Look forward to working with you. With that introduction, I'm going to move us along to our consent agenda, which consists of our last meeting minutes and our last month's finances. But you'll also notice this month, you'll have the December profit loss statement and the year-end profit loss statement. So if everyone has had a chance to consider the items under our consent agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Nope. Jason, you're muted. Or your mic's not working. I think everyone's getting a chance to look it over. It looks like Jason is setting up his audio. Nope. Is there anything you wanted to say about the consent agenda, Nate? I didn't see anything.
Nope. Nope. Pretty straightforward.
Looks like Jason has seconded John's motion through text in this video. I'm going to accept it. Unless there's any questions or concerns about the consent agenda, I'm going to call the question. And all in favor of accepting the consent agenda as approving the consent agenda as presented, signal by saying aye.
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 Sorry. Aye. And maybe Jason is going to text in aye. All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, we have a approved consent agenda. Thank you, everyone. That is going on to our voting items. So our first action is to potentially reappoint a couple of board members and discuss the appointment of a third board member. So we have 3 board members whose terms expired at the end of last year. The normal practice that they would carry on until if or when their replacements were appointed. 2 of those appointments are Heather and Net. Both of those are appointed by us. We expanded our board by 2 seats and appointed the 2 of them onto it. Heather is in Mexico and not here. I think we would be all right to default till next time she's here to have a discussion, unless she can chime in during this, which I don't expect her to. But Annette is here, and Annette's been really valuable to the work that the Muncie Land Bank has done, and has given us some key guidance to the board. And I would love it if Annette, if you'd continue on. So I guess the offer is that if you want to continue on serving as a board of director.
Yes, I would be happy to do that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much. Seeing that Annette's position is board appointed, we could simply motion right here off the floor for her appointment and approve it in this meeting if you all wish. At that point, seeing that Heather hasn't chimed in yet, I would entertain a motion to reappoint Annette Phillips to the board of directors.
So moved.
Looks like John gave me a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Rebecca with a second. Unless there's any questions or concerns, I'm just going to call the question. All in favor of Annette being reappointed, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That sounds unanimous. Annette, welcome back on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you, Annette.
It's awesome.
Much appreciated.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very appreciated that you continue to serve. So we can, since Heather's kind of a board appointment seat, we can kind of deal with her next month's meeting. But Melanie's seat is not appointed by this board, and Melanie's time has come up as well at the end of last year. Her board appointment authority is the treasurer, the county treasurer, which now is Brad Polk. So I think there's an order of, does Melanie want to continue serving on the board of directors? She has been here since I think the beginning, and she's been really valuable in the guidance. She was the treasurer. I think Annette's now the treasurer, and again, just been incredibly valuable to the guidance of our decisions. Melanie, would you like to continue to serve?
Sorry, can't get the mute off. Sure, I would like to continue to serve.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
Wonderful.
great. So I think what would be in order is for Nate to draft up a letter notifying
Mhm.
the treasurer that his appointment on our board has ended, and that our recommendation and her willingness is to be reappointed to the board. You could sign it. If you want it, I'll sign it too. We can make it like a dual signature if you want, and we can get that sent to Brad Polk and then see if he gives us Melanie as an appointment.
Okay, great.
Until then, Melanie's welcome to continue
Thank
to
you,
serve
Melanie. Yeah.
until either that changes or what it doesn't, so there should be no problem with that. Thank you, though. Thank you very much. And then, like I said, we'll deal with Heather's next month. Are there any questions about the other appointments or?
No, I just want to say that I apologize for not getting out in front of this. Thank you for everybody being flexible and willing to show up when your term's finished, and both Melanie and Annette, thank you for continuing to serve. But we have 3 more mayoral appointments that come to end at the end of this year, and I think I'll be trying to work on either a renomination plan or a succession plan between now and then, probably with the executive committee. But anyways, apologize for that.
Yeah, I'm right there with
appreciate
Nate. I would like to
Yeah.
apologize as well. I'd rather have maybe at least send an email to the 3 of you before we had this discussion on our board meeting. So this just came up on our radar, and this was a kind of a prime time to take care of it as well. Seeing that 2 of them specifically were appointed by the board. So sorry for the late notice on that. With that,
I do
we're
have a
gonna-
question.
Yeah, please.
Who are the 3 mayoral appointments? Is it me and Kyle and Jim?
Jason.
Not Jim?
Nope, it's Jason. Jim, myself, and Rebecca are council appointments.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. There's a document that was in today's meeting folder that kind of outlines some of that. It's kind of outlines the history of our positions, our appointments.
Yeah. Marta Moody created that like 5 years ago.
Well, someone's keeping it up. Um, with that, I think we're down to looking at the approval for 2024's budget. Am I right? Item 4B.
Yes, that is correct. And this may be a conversation that we start today, because it is, excuse me, yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of questions that you might have, that maybe need to be answered, followed up on for our next meeting. But this is what I came up. I don't know if you see in box, MLB annual budget 2022 look back, 2023 projections versus actual, and then the 2024 proposal. It's an Excel doc. And then you could also look at the financial statement 2023 to actually see a little bit more detail, about the revenue and expenses for the year, but it corresponds to this, Excel doc. There's a little bit more detail about the revenue specifically in the financial statement for 2023. Go ahead, John.
So you say there's more information. I see the 2022 look back, 2023 projection. Where are you saying there's more information about the revenue?
It says just financial statement 2023. And if you open up, you can look at the P&L statement. And that reflects a little bit the Excel document. Are you all finding that?
Mhm.
What's P&L?
Profit and loss. So I don't know if it would be helpful for me to talk through a little bit the
Yes.
proposal, or if there's questions about this year.
Could you
John?
walk us through this year?
Yes. So looking at, the income that we've had, or the revenue that's come in this year, is $200,000, $201,000. If you look at, yeah, and so that's
And you're
a
projecting
combination.
$140,000 increase
I am,
due to this project. I mean, we're moving into an programmatic agreement. This project, we're looking to acquire quite a bit of properties to do this.
yeah.
This is part of the increase, I assume.
Yeah, we have $15,000 that I have to invoice the MRC for. That's coming in.
Okay.
From the city, from the MRC, I'm making the assumption that we're going to get some additional support this year, because of our conversations with a couple city council folk. I'm assuming that we're going to get something. I mean, my assumption
in our budget $100,000.
from the city.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I mean, I'm asking for 150. And yeah, between
From
the
MRC
support
specifically?
MRC, whether it's MRC or the mayor, edit funds, I don't know. Um, uh, and I'm assuming that as we start to actually acquire property in the Old West End, as we actually start to um, lay the foundation for some infill work, that's going to generate some enthusiasm from the city. But mainly because of my conversations with city council folks and them saying that they're going to support us and they're going to do what they can to try to get um, the city to support us. Yeah, some of these assumptions, that's good for me to try to talk through. And if there's disagreement, then and if we have to make some adjustment, we can. Ball Brother Foundation, the next step down. They gave us 75 this year, which was more than we had projected. Again, I'm assuming that because as they see the positive work that we're doing, and we say, don't stop, don't, let's not diminish or reduce the amount that you're supporting us. Let's maintain that. So that's matching what they gave this year.
Hey, quick question. Wasn't that
Mhm.
for some kind of special program where you went through a class or whatever? Is that a one-time thing where they put you through the class and gave you extra money, or is that
The 75 grand that they gave us was their general grant. That's for site
okay?
control in the Old West End. But they
Good to know.
also gave us $8,000 of unrestricted donations, which was connected to the fellowship. And then an additional 7,500, which was a rapid grant, which was to pay for a GA. So we may not get those next year, but I'm assuming that we're going to get, at a minimum, I would say 40. But I'm hoping that if we can show that we're on an upward plane towards the things that that we said we're going to do, I feel like they will support us. But again, these are my assumptions. And last year I gave a kind of a conservative estimate and an aggressive estimate. We approved the aggressive estimate. This is an aggressive estimate. I'm assuming that we're going to continue to get support for operations from Community Foundation. They gave us 25 this year. I'm assuming that they'll do that again next year. Other restricted grants and donations. The 45 that we got, that is a combination of the big chunk there is the $30,000 strategic grant from the Community Foundation for our retrofit revolving fund. I'm assuming again that we're going to be able to show some success and then go back to them and say, can we build this out more?
Which
And
has always been
also,
the plan when we got it originally.
yes. And then also, finding new pots of money to apply for. Got to grow our outside of Ball Brothers Foundation and Community Foundation. So yeah. Those
I
are
have
my
a
assumptions
question.
about revenue. Uh-huh.
Where does the intend project fit in here in terms of, I mean, is there any exchange of financial of revenue, or is there any revenue from that partnership that's projected, or is that more in kind on their side?
It's more in kind. Yeah, I mean, if the development starts to happen in the Old West End, they're going to be obtaining the ownership of property, and then they'll do the development. They'll sell the property, so the income coming from property will go back to replenish the funding that they've used for that project.
So basically, we'll be securing land and selling it to them for their development. So in the land sales on line row 19, that's what
Yeah.
we're looking at. These are just like, right, basic lots.
Yeah, that's just
Neil West End.
Yeah, and you know the other 20 some properties that we're hoping to get from the county that are on in other parts of the city.
Right.
Um,
So that might, I mean, I think that I don't have a problem with any of the grant estimates in that at all. I think the worry from my point would be that historically between last year we got less than we expected from the city. And we were not able to chase down as many grants as we had expected.
Mhm.
Which leads to quite a bit of difference. You know, those are the two largest line item increases for the 2024 proposal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think another way of saying that is the places where we came in short in 2023 are the places where we're expected to to come in much, much higher in 2024.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the three assumptions are the city will support us with something. Ball Brothers Foundation will continue to support us at this new high threshold, and that the Community Foundation will expand their support of our retrofit program. And that we'll be able to find some new funding. I mean, I think that the reality for me was, you know, that we approved a budget to spend $300,000 last year. We spent quite a bit less. And I think that that could happen again this year. I mean, you know, we will continue to limp along to some degree until we get the county and the city to really join in. But we can have the expectation that they're gonna support us. We, you know, I mean, a big thing is that Joe, we're not hiring Joe. We're not taking that money from savings to hire Joe. Intent is going to hire Joe, and we're going to get some hours allocated from them. So we're not making any commitments. You know, all the expenses that are here are variable. You know, it's like
Yeah.
we would like to buy 40. We were expecting 40 properties to come through the land bank. That's what we expected last year. We only had 13 properties come through.
Right. And we were expecting the $300,000 expenditure and we made 161 in.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you're saying now.
Yeah. And I'm all for, again, I should have been out in front of this, should have met with the exec committee, should have had this conversation. I'm all for, if we want to have an exec committee meeting to go through this in more detail and then come with something that's maybe a little bit more realistic.
Well, here's the way that I mean, I think that what you just articulated, which is that there's a couple of things. First of all, the 2023 budget that we set was, to my mind, way higher than I thought we would be able to bring in. And you came in near that. You know, you really did a fantastic job. What you brought in 2023 is almost double what we had in 2022. And that is notable. And I think that your explanation that this budget is contingent, like if we don't get more property and if we don't get funding from the MRC, then our budget is going to be smaller, right? And that's okay because that's not part of our like operating costs. Those are variable costs. So I mean, my perspective is it's okay on paper to have a reach here and to set that as our goal, while acknowledging that if we fall short of that goal, it doesn't really impair our ability to operate. That's my take.
I agree. That makes sense to me. And that's kind of how we do our budgets. I mean, it's, you know, proposed income, but he's not, like he said, he's not committing any, additional salaries that are dependent on that income and all of that. So, I'm fine with it. I was a little surprised that there wasn't more in the, more income for selling properties. But I think that's something that you'll see increase too. And when you did that, Nate, on the budget for properties that you're selling, is that the amount that you're getting for the sale? Is that kind of the amount that you expect to net from selling a property?
That is like the total revenue. That's not the net. Again, we only sold, I think, 10 properties this year.
Okay.
We have a number that are going out right now. And that could go up, if we got property, that would go up quite a bit.
Yeah, that was our problem. We have a bit of a low inventory.
Mhm.
And
But yeah, go ahead.
when you look at our projected expenditures for 2023 versus what we actually spent, the place where we came in really low was in property acquisition and disposition.
Yeah.
We came in about $35,000 below what we projected.
Yeah, and there are some
In
things
property.
in the next month that are going to be happening that's going to make that go up. But this is what happened in the fiscal 2023 year.
Yeah. And the property maintenance, same story. We came in $60,000 lower
Yeah.
than we expected. Well, I mean, in a way, my thinking is that this is kind of your benchmark setting, Nate, as the executive director. And if you're comfortable with this, I don't think that there's any kind of threat to the organization with a budget that anticipates growth of this kind. And yeah. Does anyone else have thoughts or concerns?
My thought is just, I think the more properties with structures we do, in my opinion, the more interest we'll have from people, potentially the more funding, obviously also more income because the properties with structures are more expensive or whatever. So I think it's okay for all the reasons you said as well.
As of this budget, we have about $270,000, right? And 125 of that is unrestricted. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right, I'm good.
So I mean, yeah, I just our financial health as an organization continues to be strong.
I think so, yeah.
That 125, most of that has been rolled over into another CD that we can access if we need it. We made close to $5,000 on interest from that CD. The only thing I would say is the executive director salary. So if we can look at that real quick. I don't know if you have the Excel doc open.
I do.
So my salary was 52.5, but that's not. And so the number for the actual is 45, but that's because payroll taxes and things like that being taken out. I think we need to have a discussion about. I made based on what we did last year as far as a raise, 2% for cost of living, and that we wanted to do 3% that was going to be merit based. So that might be something that we need to talk about with exec committee before we sign off on this.
I'm confused if I'm just confused about what you just said about isn't payroll tax a separate line item there? Why is I don't know if this is a conversation to have in the full board meeting or to talk more about it whenever it comes time to talk about your compensation for the year, but it just I mean, as a non-executive board member, like it is surprising to me that the salary that you were, that you didn't get the full salary that you
Well, I did. It's just it's being paying in Social Security, all those kinds of things that they discount from month to month. This is the 45 is the net that I've gotten.
And the 52.5 is the gross.
Yes, and there's I've been trying to the counting system on QuickBooks and our budget. There's a few things that are not 100% correlated, and so there's a little discrepancy that I need to talk to Kathy Meyer from Whitinger to make sure that when we do this, it's easier to just kind of cut and paste rather than have to make these adjustments. So that I'm getting what the land bank agreed to pay me.
As long as you're getting what you're supposed to be.
That does look really weird in the budget that way, though.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think your gross salary should be in that line item, and then whatever percent for fringe benefits and all of that should be a separate line item, but we should be seeing your actual salary in that executive director line item.
Yeah.
Is it the same with the next line item, the data manager?
That one's even more,
either.
that's even more tricky. Because so that's all the money that we've paid to Joe. So some of that's through Ball State, some of that's to him as an independent contractor. And the money that's paid as an independent contractor that is discounted because there are taxes and things like that paid. Or there's payroll taxes connected to that. I have to go into detail to figure out how much of payroll taxes are. I had it separated out in my budget, but then the way it's been accounted for, it's all lumped together. So it's hard to tell. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hear what you're saying, Annette, and I need to sit down with Annette and make sure that all these things.
Yeah, I think that could just be, that's fine if it's a lump sum between the staff. I think that the staff's salary needs to be a line item, and then like FICA and whatnot would be its own line item, and then the payroll taxes and any other benefits, they would end up becoming like insurance, right? They'd end up becoming their own line item, and we'd be able to track their expenses and making sure that you're all getting paid what you're supposed to be getting paid properly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you do look at it, it looks like you got shy $7,000. I don't want that.
Yeah, and
No,
my concern though is for budgeting purposes, is this accurate?
Yeah.
It says that we paid $67,000 in payroll, but what I'm hearing is that there's money floating out there somewhere that was paid that is not accounted for here.
I mean, it does the discrepancy there between the budget and the projections and the actual is that we overestimated $6,000 of taxes, payroll taxes. We also overestimated paying Joe more.
Okay. But so that is how much we spent on payroll.
I'm sorry, I just remembered. And there's $4,500 that was paid to Joe, or it hasn't been paid to Ball State yet for this last semester.
Also, there's a final payment still.
Yes.
That's okay.
So that should be $4,500 more in data and inventory manager
Actual.
actual. And then if you
D26.
take into account the six grand or the $5.5 grand that we didn't pay in payroll taxes that we projected, that's the discrepancy. I need to work on this so that
Yeah, I'm just not at all confident that 67,955 is the amount that we spent on payroll. If there is either compensation or something that went to you that's not in that line. So what I'm hearing you say is that somehow we spent the 52.5, but it's not showing up there. But so where is it where's that difference showing up?
well, yeah, I mean, but the revenue on my check that I get from month to month is like $1,000 and change, or from week to week is $1,000 and change. What shows on QuickBooks, the payment I get is like 878. So that $120 or so is included in FICA, those kinds of things. And then when I do taxes, then that'll work itself out. I'll get
No, I understand from your perspective. I'm talking about from the organization's perspective. Like this information here is not a reflection of what we spent on payroll.
it is for the fiscal year. There's another $4,500 that's going to be paid to Ball State, which doesn't technically get tagged
Yeah.
as data inventory manager. It gets or paid to Joe. It gets tagged as being paid to Ball State. So I've had to kind of manipulate a little bit the number so that it's a little bit more accurate.
I think I understand what you're
I'm
saying.
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go forward with it out being, I want to make sure it is accurate, especially the payroll for you all.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with just about everything else here. It is already 2024, however. I don't want to approve this in February. I would, though, think that maybe the executive committee could take a look at it a little further, like give us, I don't know, a couple days.
Yeah.
We could have a meeting and take a look at it and discuss it further. And I would really kind of like if the board would give the executive committee to provide final approval for this budget so that we can get it kind of approved earlier, get some of these discrepancies ironed out, and then be done with it. I think those are the only like real concerns anyone seems to have voiced about it. Does anyone
I
have
would
any
move to
questions
do
about
that.
that? I'm sorry, what?
I would move to do that, to authorize the executive committee to finalize the budget, to approve a final budget.
All right. Rebecca, were you going to say something? No. Is is that a second, Jason? He says he agrees and he says yes. So I'm going to take that as a second to John's motion for we'll put the budget in the executive committee's hands and we'll give them final approval. For everyone who signaled by saying aye, who agrees?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jason's aye. And all those who oppose? Looks like it's unanimous. So Nate, let's set up an executive committee meeting as soon as possible. I know
Okay.
Heather's in Mexico. That's kind of tricky, but I kind of want to get it settled because we're in the beginning of 2024 and we're at the end of the
Yeah.
first, or we're towards the end of the first month, towards it. So I think everything else looks really good. And because of our financial health, I think that we have a bit of the flexibility to make sure that we're going to get the payroll section of it proper. Like accurate, and just looking good.
Yeah. Yeah. Work on that. I apologize for the confusion.
No, it's all right. It happens. All right. Oops. Find my agenda. I'm sorry. So with that, we will move on to so we have multiple times changed the acquisition threshold, the expenditure threshold, if you will, for the executive director of our committee. as we have grown in capacity and design, demand, you know, we've had to have him be a little bit more flexible about being able to spend our money and not wait for these monthly meetings. In the box, there should be a document that outlines all the differences we've ever made to that threshold. It should be labeled History of the MLB Executive Director Purchase Limitations. Has everyone had a chance to review that? Real quickly, I think right now where that puts us is that the executive director can currently spend 2 times the assessed value of a property and $5,500 per parcel limit up to the budget amount for acquisition. That gives him some threshold with this new series of developments that aren't just asks from the county. So with this Old West End and 10 project, it's not just tax delinquent properties. There is some other types of acquisition that need to occur. And with that, we've had to we've desired to modify this acquisition threshold. John has proposal that the staff is permitted to spend up to 10% of an uncommitted land bank funds without our approval. And then 50% of the funds that are already agreed upon, like grant funded projects. Did I get that right, John?
Yeah, yours is much better though. So let's go into that now and ignore mine.
Let's see. I think I proposed for non-property related purchases. So, you know, all the kind of operational expenses that we sometimes occur. The director would be able to make up to $3,500 without officer oversight. So, you know, one of the officers would be able to approve something that goes over $3,500 up to $10,000. At $10,001, that would be that would require the whole board's approval for such an operational expense. So basically, that limits and gives him some oversight in the process, right? He can spend $3,500 on his own on operations, basically, and with one of our approvals, one of the officers' approvals, we could go up to $10,000, and the board could go, you know, as long as its budget allows. The other addition I have is a property or project related purchases where the director could spend up to 2 times the assessed value of the property, spend board approved budget. Sorry, I'm having a problem reading. Board approved budgets for property procurement not to exceed 10% of uncommitted funds without the signatures of the treasurer and either the chair or vice chair. And then with the signatures of the chair and the vice chair, basically he could go up to 30% or 3 times that assessed value. And then anything greater than those thresholds would require the entire board's action. This again, the board always has oversight in all of these through this kind of structure where the board elects its officers and the officers have the oversight to the director, and the board hires its director, and then finalize, you know, the board has the higher expenditure amount authority. Does that make sense? That's kind of my structure there when I was thinking about it. Is trying to give him some thresholds and give us some oversight and provide a little bit of flexibility. Officer approval wouldn't require a meeting. It would require, I mean, a meeting between, you know, Nate and one of the officers, but not like a full board or committee. Does anyone have any questions about it, or is everyone? I just probably garbled that up though.
Is there any reason why because on all of the others, there's a signature required by someone other than Nate, except for the property project related purchases, right? That are 2 times the assessed value or 10%, not to exceed 10% of the uncommitted funds.
Right. For operational, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Are we putting him in a position where he can, in that scenario, he would not have anyone else sign off? There's no check and balance for that.
Not for up to 2 times the assessed value.
I just think that's putting him in a bad position.
Right now,
I would never, I mean, sometimes it would be nice to be able to do things on my own, But I can also appreciate that, there's no way I'm going to ever get in any trouble because there's so much that, I can't do on my own. I think this would be fine for him, but I still would think that there would maybe need to be a signature for someone else.
So let's
Just to
think of a
protect.
scenario in which Nate would need that flexibility. 'Cause I'm wondering if why did we push towards giving Nate a freer hand in this case? Is there something we have in mind here, or is there really no benefit to not having two signatures?
Oh, if you're asking me, I can't really remember what our impetus was. I just knew that we needed to spend a little bit more money and not wait month to month to do it. But this was been a couple of months ago since I wrote this up, and I'm having trouble remembering the specific reason, obstacle it came up against. Nate might remember.
Yeah, I mean, I just think right now we're in negotiations with the 5 or 6 different property owners in the Old West End. And one specific property, they were asking the price was going to be more than the allowance. And so I think for the ability to respond quickly, I think this came up.
Annette, what is your experience with this kind of, I mean, of the people on the board? You're part of a structure where you have folks acting to purchase property, but they're responsible to the overall organization. What has your experience been like? Has there ever been a time when you've had to move fast and needed flexibility, or is it always, because my concern is, like, Nate comes to me and asks, is this a good purchase? I'm the officer that he asks. And then I have to think through all of the things that Nate already knows. And I don't know any of those things in order to make a judgment call. And I think we would all kind of be in that position. Nate is in the neighborhood talking to people. He understands the context. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, and there are definitely situations where you want to be able to move fast, and I totally understand that. But I feel like moving fast doesn't mean like not using good administrative, and like I said, for your protection, Nate, I would not feel comfortable, purchasing just solely on my own with only my signature. I would want somebody else, to have endorsed that. Sometimes to act individually on your own is not a good thing, and I think that it's just for your protection and ours, but mostly, I'm thinking about it. I think it could potentially put you in a bad situation. I think that if you only are required one, so on these, if I'm understanding right, it requires a signature of all three or just one of the three. Brad
Two,
or Nate?
the treasurer and the chair or vice chair. So
Okay, so at least two others besides Nate. Yeah.
Now,
You might even go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to point out that he currently has the availability to spend up to 2,000 or two times the assessed value. So he actually has this first ability project related right now. We made that offer back in June of 2022. We made that change.
Okay.
So it's in that document. Scroll, Nate.
It doesn't mean it's a good.
Oh no!
Maybe it's not. That's still not a good practice. I'm not arguing about
the quality of it. I'm saying that that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think with the transparency stuff with, land banks and stuff, it might be good for him to at least, in all these instances, require at least one other signature. You know what I mean? And I don't think he has a lot of, it's not like any of these three positions are very hard for him to catch up with. You know, like we're all here locally. But that's just my thoughts on it.
We could, I mean, if we add the signatures, if we're talking about the 2 times assessed value, project related, and we added signatures to the officers, we would just make everything above that board authorized then? Is that what you're suggesting, Annette?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the like anything above that, I think in all of these, then that means that if it's not these conditions, it has to be board authorized, yes.
So,
But my thing is, what he can do on his own is probably not, if he's comfortable with it, you know, and we are, I guess, you know, you can do that, but I would think that you always would at least want, you know, 2 signatures. So maybe, you know, maybe that's overkill, but have you had a problem getting a hold of any of the officers, Nate? Are we tying your hands by asking you to do that? Even if it's just yourself and one officer?
No, no. I mean, two, I don't remember exactly why this kind of percolated up. I think a lot of times in practice, what happens is Joe and I are working, we're having conversations, and then we either, we text Brad, what do you think? Or I run into John and throw it at him, or I talk to you, and so I get some oversight, but it's not necessarily formalized. Although we do tend to take everything to the A&D committee meeting. But personally, I'm happy to defer to experience and more board participation. I don't think it's a huge barrier.
What if we made that first section there under property project related purchases at the 2 times assessed value threshold? What if we made that with the signature of either treasurer, chair, or vice chair? And then the second paragraph would be able to remain the same, and the third sentence would be able to remain the same. Does that make sense? We would add 1 signature of 1 officer to the first paragraph, basically, of any of the officers. Besides that, I guess the secretary, I just left the 3. And then the second paragraph would be at least 2 officers would sign off on such purchase. And then the third basically just says it goes to the board authority for anything greater than that. Would that make you all feel better, or would that be more complicated? I mean, I don't want to make it kind of complicated either, so I just want to make it fair and easy and safe.
I agree. I like having as much flexibility for action without the entire board as possible. So I like the idea of 2 signatures on the second one, 1 signature on the first one. And the reason for that is because we don't necessarily want to be broadcasting what we're willing to pay for something in public meetings, given that people might jump in and speculate.
Actually, yeah, that's
that was our original motivation for expanding.
That was
this
the motivation. Yeah,
because we have to operate openly, and so where Pathstone can make a plan, for example, to acquire a property, when we make a plan to acquire a property, the world kind of can know about it, and then they can speculate on it.
Yeah. But okay. I think that we've come up with a reasonable compromise here.
Yeah.
In terms of 1 on 2 times the assessed value, and 2 on the 3 times assessed value. I do have one more question. Are these the right parties for the signatures? I mean, I would think that the acquisition and disposition committee members might know a little bit about what's going on with regard to property. But then again, the treasurer is also important because they know what's in the bank. So maybe that's not a germane.
We have a chair for acquisition and disposition, right?
Yes.
Who is
Yeah, but
that?
that committee
is
is only
Brad.
recommendation.
That's
It only
Brad.
gives this
Mm.
body the recommendation for acquisition and disposition. We're the ones who actually
Are
approve
responsible.
all that, and our officers are the ones who lead in the board of directors. Ideally, even though projects of property acquisitions and dispositions go through the acquisition disposition committee, ideally, I think all the officers would have like at least some wherewithal about the activity of what's going on.
Well, did we just lose quorum?
Oh, no, we got Jason.
Okay, cool.
So I guess then if we're happy, I think, I mean, are we okay with this kind of change? And then we add that, at least one of those officers. Do you want it
I'm
to be
good.
the board chair?
I'm good with that.
Okay. If we're good with this King proposal with this new amendment to it, if you will, then I guess we could entertain a motion to amend whatever portion of our policy it is. Section 10.02, checks and drafts, is what we've been amending previously. So I would entertain a motion to amend section 10.2 of our procedures, policy and procedures, to accept this King proposal with the amendment that one signature of the treasurer or chair or vice chair be committed for property purchases up to 2 times the assessed value.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second,
I got a motion, and a second to accept the amendment. Is there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
aye.
Oh, there we go. That sounds unanimous. All in favor, signal by, all opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Please amend the policies, procedures for that section with our new addition to it. And go ahead and make sure to send out an announcement to the board that those policies have been changed and highlight the changes for us, please. Some of us aren't here, and I just want to make sure everyone's aware.
Okay.
And that even the people who are aware, they remember that we made the change. Thank you everyone for working through this. This has been, even though it says 10/20, I think we discussed this for some reason in November, but oh yeah, thank you for getting us through. Our next item on the agenda, if I pull it up, should be the dispositions of 2 properties that the A&D committee has had recommendations on. We have recommendations to dispose of 2218 South Jefferson to Frank Cross and the 2400 block North Macedonia, 1222 South Jefferson, and 800 North Turner to Ty Simmons. Their respective bids are on the agenda. The A&D committee met with both applicants, had a thorough discussion with them, and after that, and both of these come with their approval, their unanimous approval. There should be some information, a folder in the box if you have any questions. This would be the time I would entertain a motion for their approval at this point.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Are there questions, concerns, comments about the dispositions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Jason, aye, and it's unanimous. So Joe and Nate, get the ball rolling on the disposition there and get those sent through. Frank Cross did a rehab previously. It looked really great. And he's ended up, I think, rehabbing this property is the plan for this. And then those other ones are going to be, I think, some urban farming opportunities. It's really interesting stuff. If you do have a chance, Google Ty Simmons, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and you'll see some of the work that he's done up there. It's sounds like some really good stuff. Without going belaboring any further, we'll go down into our general discussion items. This is where I'm going to let some of our staff take over our items on acquisition disposition. Joe's going to have a map for us from the Old West End, right, Joe?
And we can move quickly through this. It says it is past 10 already. A lot of this is just kind of updates. But yeah, there's a map in the box. I don't mean to jump in front of you, Joe, but there's a map in the
No, you're
box
good.
kind of shows our kind of our plan for acquisition. You take a look at that. And so, yes, you can see in the agenda, we're talking to some private owners about a number of properties. Some of those conversations are pretty much ready to be signed and on the table with approval. And then we're going to ask the county, or we're waiting on the county properties, and we put in an ask to the MRC for 3 properties. So this is kind of building out our site control base and mostly the Old West End, Old West End. Any questions about that?
And the county properties just remain the same ask we've had into them, I want to say, for a couple months now.
Yep. I emailed again the auditor, and the treasurer earlier this week. I was going to give them till today. If I don't hear that, I'm going to go to my my recourse, which I've talked about before, hoping that somebody on the inside can help us
Right.
get a resolution drafted. And
Joe, is there any comments you have about the Old West End proposal, or does anyone have any questions for Nate, Joe, or I about the map itself? I do have one question about the project. Are we using a PTA with intent during this development? Have we discussed this?
we have not discussed that.
Okay.
I mean, I think once we get the property, and it would be, yeah, we'll need to sit down and work through all those details.
Yeah, let's have a discussion about that. I don't know
Okay.
if we need to have the
Yeah,
board.
we
That was
can do
just
that.
a question I had about as we look through it, because I'm also looking ahead of the item B up in Whiteley.
Yes.
If you want to move forward on that.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, we've been getting to know a new community-based nonprofit there, and we're really excited about trying to support them. They're new, but I think they can be really key. And so there's 4 houses that they've told us that, man, if you could help us get this, this could be our first house that we redevelop or rehabilitate. So that would be something that we take to obviously the A&D committee once we do the homework. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I think this is exciting. I would like to look into getting a PTA or some type of agreement with them quickly, so we could try to move on these properties if they're accessible.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I'd like to see something coming from AD committee as soon as possible. I think this is exciting, and we can put it in the ball, get the ball rolling with this on the other side of the river in a way. I think it'd be great.
Nate, who are you? Who's the contact person? Is it Bernice?
Bernice,
Or
Pastor
okay.
Scaife, Miss Yvonne.
Okay.
I've met
Just
with-
for
Go ahead.
just to share, they've been talking with us, passed on me for years about their desire to do some development. And I agreed to help. I used to be a member at Union, and really would like to see them do some development in Whiteley. I think they really kind of want to use like an urban light model. And so I know years ago, I, suggested that they talk with Joy. But I think that Pathstone is probably, like organizationally, we're not going to be directly involved with that project. However, I've agreed just to volunteer to try to lend them some development experience. So,
That's
just
fantastic.
FYI.
I don't think that's problematic. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, we met with both Bernice and then Pastor Scape another time with Joy, and he talked a lot about Pat Stone and his connection with you, Annette.
Are there any other questions about the potential Whiteley development for Nate? If not, I'm really just going to skip the programs committee update. We canceled January's first Friday. The February one, we have yet to set up a guest, so it will be announced. Oh, John, you got a question or comment?
No, I just was wondering, did you reach out to, we were thinking about an update on the legislation. Do we find a party to give that update?
I've emailed Prosperity Indiana folk, Andrew and Hale. They haven't responded. I'll follow up. I'm thinking that if I might also reach out to Elizabeth Roray and Sue Arrington, who are both authoring the bill. If we can't get a formal speaker, I think maybe it's something that we can do as the land bank kind of present. This is something that's happening. It'll be after we go to State House Day.
Okay.
I need to follow up with Andrew, but I'm surprised they haven't responded.
Following that, then, unless there's any other questions about First Friday, is the fundraising development committee. We've kind of heard about the update with Joe's position with Intend. Is there anything else to add to that?
Joe, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll still be supporting. I think the idea is around 16 hours per week. We haven't finalized anything in writing, but I'll still be supporting the MLB kind of part-time up here. So there shouldn't be too much of a change, but I'll be full-time at Intend.
Wow. Congratulations. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Do you
appreciate
have a
it.
start date?
February 12th. So I'll be doing just my, normal thing here until then, where I'll just be going to the office every day. But once that happens, I'll be doing probably around 16 hours a week.
Unless
And
there's any-
also, yeah,
Oh, go
working
ahead.
with Aram to kind of offload some of the things that that we see that Aram can take over. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. If there's nothing else about Joe's position, and with Heather not here, I'm going to skip the annual fundraising campaign for now. I know that there's some trouble getting the button to work on Facebook. We're still working on that. But I believe Nate went to the annual meeting for the city on their HUD funds.
Yeah, and real
Nor-
quick, just this.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jeb Reese came down from Intend, and they have a lot of experience with
Oh,
HUD funding, and so it was great to have him there. We had a sit down with Gretchen Cheeseman after, and I think there's 2 or 3 avenues that we might be pursuing for some funding, and I think actually it's in the plans for Gretchen and potentially some representation from the MRC to visit with Intend on February 5th. So I'm excited about that. I think just building that connection makes working together and getting funding from the city in different ways so much easier. So positive development there.
any questions about? Nope. Hearing none. And with Heather not being here, I'm going to skip the update on the housing summit unless Nate, you have something that you would like to share.
Just put it on your calendar. April 5th. It's
5th.
gonna.
I'm going to go down to our governance committee update. with, a municipal election having just ended and the newest elected officials taking their position, we've had this idea about having a bit of a meet and greet with our newest city council members. Nate, do you want to talk about more of those details?
Yeah, and I can be quick here. We've been thinking about, yeah, with the new city council voted in, we'd like to have a meet and greet, which I think that you all did prior to me coming on years ago. There was some question of can we get everybody in the same room as elected officials, and Brad kind of explained that that's possible. So we're going to move forward with that, hopefully in the next couple months, to get those folks in the room and talk about the land bank. Connected to city council, just say again, we're having some conversations with a couple key people that have said that they want to support the land bank. I don't know what that looks like or what the legal, the political process is, but so building those relationships with city council, I'm excited about. The land banking legislation you can read about in the inbox. There's the I think it's called the digest. It's a bill that again, Representative Elizabeth Roray is the primary author, and then Representative Sue Arrington is co-authoring. We're excited because it's bipartisan, that maybe this will have some legs that other bills have not had.
This structure looks kind of familiar. John, have you looked over this? Did we talk about this before with the the Infinity Group?
Yeah, the community progress. This is, I think this is very close to what we asked for. And the way I would describe it, just very briefly, is it's a roadmap that counties can use to set up effective land banks. So instead of land banks coming to counties and say, will you do this and that and the other thing, that says these are the things that a county can agree to do to and to stand up a land bank in a way that's effective. So I think it's a great thing, and very thankful to the legislative sponsors.
Is there anything we could do to help support it?
I spoke at the Hoosier Housing Summit about so there's going to be folks who are involved in that will be assisting with the persuasion process in the State House, and then State House Day. I think that those are kind of our best avenues. I don't know if anyone knows a legislator, talk to them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the bill? If you haven't had a chance to read it yet, that's fine. When you do get a chance and you have any questions, feel free to contact one of us, Nate, John, or I, about the bill. We try to get some answers if you have any questions.
Can I ask a quick question? The housing summit, you said to put it in our calendar. Is it an all-day event, or is it just a particular time?
It's morning till after lunch. Yeah, it's basically I think 9 to yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Bert, I don't know that did I get information on that? Can you send me something?
Yes.
If you didn't already, I'm sorry.
I haven't. We've talked about it. It's something that we're working with DAC, the Office of Community Engagement and Land Bank Planning and Housing Summit. It's going to be in place of our First Friday and bigger than that.
Okay, gotcha.
And the site is not yet. It's either going to be Ivy Tech or at Ball State. There's still details that are floating, so they haven't made a public announcement. But
all right.
But just keep the date on your calendar.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And it's the 5th, right?
The 5th, yes.
Yeah, that should be the first Friday of April.
First Friday of April. Okay. Thank you.
We've kind of talked about the State House Day. Is there anything to add? That's at the end of this month. Yeah. Okay. So there's nothing to add. Go ahead, please.
Where do we show up? Are we going down as a group?
Yeah, I guess I could say so. I've signed up staff. So Joe Ram and I, we're going to drive down together. If anybody else is interested in going, you have to register. I can send out that link welcome to join with us. We could fit 5 into my car. It's interesting experience. I don't know. I'll send out the link. If anybody
Yeah,
wants to
send the
go,
link
yep,
out.
register and then let me know.
And John, are you thinking about going?
Maybe
We'll talk about it.
if I have time.
And then the data committee update. I mean, is there any other questions about the State House? All right, data committee update. We have a 2-year study plan in the box that has come out of the urban planning study course. It's just labeled 2-year study in MLB. I'm not sure that if everyone's had a chance to look over it, but Nate, do you want to?
Yeah. Just so we're trying to use this studio. I'm co-teaching, supporting really Dr. Sang Lim Yu with second-year students. This is grown the objective potentially what we're trying to do with the students has grown in the last week because Urban Light CDC has been working with a group out of South Atlanta to try to come up with a methodology for doing a kind of like an acquisition pro forma for industry neighborhood. And so we're going to try to use the students and Joe's expertise to kind of piggyback off what they're doing and do this pro forma exercise in industry and then potentially Whiteley, also potentially South Central neighborhood. We have 20 students this year, but I'm actually really excited about this because I think there's going to be like 12 different aspects of the neighborhood that are going to be identified, mapped out. And it may not be that the students can do all of it, but this is like a first step towards that. And I feel like having that, we're doing that basically in the Old West End right now, but kind of ad hoc. And so we're going to try to systematize, okay, if we're going to go into a new neighborhood and we're thinking about block by block development, what's our process to get there? So I'm excited about it to learn myself, but I think it's going to be a useful tool that we're going to start with primarily industry and Whiteley. And it may be something that I bring up in the next data committee meeting to get your guys' feedback on once we get a solidified plan.
All right, fantastic. All right, next we've got an executive committee update to set. We're going to set up a meeting to evaluate a proposal for health insurance, I believe.
That's something that I want to bring up. It's connected to it's connected to budget. Basically, when we can talk about this executive committee, but when I signed on should I just leave it to the executive committee?
Yeah, either way. I was just going to suggest that when aren't we about to approve that budget through the exec committee? So if you can have the proposal for the exec committee ready for the same meeting, I would hope we just tackle the entire thing together.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if there's any questions from anyone that's not on the exec committee that wants to ask Nate now, this would be the time. Other than that, I'm ready to move on. Not hearing any, I'm going to move us to the privilege of the floor. There is a year-end review for our operations in the box. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, take a look at our summary of our activity. Is there anything, this would be a chance for anything to bring to our attention, anything that wasn't on the agenda and that we haven't already discussed? If anyone has any questions, comments, replies, requests, demands, Bueller. Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn as our next meeting will be February 15th right here at Zoom at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. We are adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming. Sorry it was such a long meeting. Hope to see you soon. Stay warm, stay safe through the